That's what it looks like so far. We'll have to find out. Okay. So, Sydney is going to pass out your agreement of assignment path for the two of you that are here today. We'll hold it for everyone else. And then the agreement of mass media recording and coverage of the class. She'll pass those to you. Before I get into questions about the syllabus or Purdue OWL, I would like to show you. Have you all been into your TDC email account?
Yeah.
Okay. Then have you received the emails that when I send the announcements through Canvas, have you received those? Yeah. Is it coming to your Gmail, James?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted you to check. As far as the homework that you were assigned, was that too much for you, overwhelming? Did you feel okay, or?
Like, I was like a little confused, like what was going on with the homework situation.
Okay.
I did the 5 facts. It's just that like I had time to like do the word cited.
No, oh, you don't even need to do that for that. No, sir. All I said was like, if you give me a fact, you can just say you got it from New York Times or whatever the case is. You didn't have, no. I don't even need any of that. That was too in detail, but thank you for attempting that. Yes, no, we don't even need that. Woo. Okay. The reason why I was asking, because when I post things on Canvas, I get a Gmail, and it comes to me that says, I posted it for you all. And when you go to your MyPCC, you come to Canvas. And I guess I got to sign in to my Canvas. Oh, welcome, Shanita.
Welcome.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hey.
Okay, so. All right, so when you go into your Canvas, well, you'll see 2 on mine, but that was because I was like in a little demo. So when I click here, I see the welcome is the first thing I gave you, or the syllabus. Then if you go down, if you have any trouble or you misplace your syllabus, I've uploaded it here. So all you have to do is click it. Now, pay attention because I'm going to try not to deviate too much, but remember there will be changes also based on how we progress. Don't forget to go to announcements. But like I said, when I post announcements, it should be coming to your Gmail. Is it coming to your Gmail, Shanita? Okay. Do you, more than likely right now, you don't have to go into your Canvas, but get into the habit of going into your Canvas for this class, because I know for other classes you're having to go into the system to look at it. So when I posted this on the 14th, our first day of class, I already let you know that the syllabus was uploaded. Don't forget, remember your 3 books, and I told you which they would be: Current Events, The Arts, and the Legends. Think of your narrative essay topic. If you feel comfortable, then you can write your paragraph 1, which is introduction. So I try to make it clear as possible so that you can have it for next class. But only this class, you only really needed the topic, okay? Then I asked you to review Purdue OWL, and I'm going to ask you shortly if you have any questions, okay? Then your current event, you were drafting your summary from that, which is at least 5 complete sentences. And that would go in your current event notebook. And then the next thing that I did add that definitely is not on the syllabus, but this right here, this announcement gave you more details, James. Okay, that's the reason why I'm asking if you're getting the announcements, because that's giving you way more detail if you need, if it's not on the syllabus, because I was keeping you in mind. So I'm trying to make sure I be as specific as possible for you, but if not, you've texted me, but I wanted to guide you to this, because I wanted to make sure that you read this, okay? So going back to announcements, I have another one, and this was the one that was added that was not on the syllabus, and that was about the VA Legends. Okay. Did you get this one? Okay. So then I'll ask you about Trey Songz, we're going to talk about Nate Parker, and the family connection for my family is Nat Turner, then Dr. Thomas Freeman. The added information, I didn't expect you all to find any facts on my other family. If you did, that's fine, but I just wanted you to know probably the connection in regards to that. So Magdalene Freeman Turner, and then one of her sons, Jantonio E. Turner, and then of course then my mother, who connects me basically through Dr. Thomas Freeman and Nat Turner. With that being said, I actually brought my photo album briefly so you can know who I'm in regards to. And a sidebar, yesterday at ODU, Dr. Deffenbaugh had us go out into the streets and do a quick survey because we needed about what does culture mean, so we had to get 5 answers. We got 5 answers, but the first 2 ladies were members of AKA, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. They're smiling. In regards to that, in respect to that, my grandmother crossed AKA. With that being said, it was odd because yesterday when I got dressed, my spirit, because I always talk about my spirit, this was her jacket and I put it on yesterday, not recalling it was their founders, because I'm a Delta and I still respect all organizations, but I didn't recall. So the first 2 women that we actually interviewed happened to be AKAs. They were like, happy belated founders. I'm like, thank you. I didn't acknowledge it back, so I'm gonna do it today, but at the same time, I think the information I ended up giving them was way more valuable. And what I mean by that, and I'll pass it around, but this is my grandmother, Annie Sue Cook Newton. Because of her and my mother, and this is my Nana, that's Magdalene Freeman Turner. These 2 were teachers. So actually I'm standing before you all following their legacy. But, and I'll pass it to you, Sydney, so you can see that's little me, that's Grandma Freeman. But because of her and my mother, but definitely because my mom would have pledged Delta, by the way. But because of her and growing up, I was a little girl going to AKA meetings. I was like, girl, the girls in the red and white. She was like, Lord bless you. But I learned how to read because of my mother's influence and her impact and her strong influence. But my grandmother, the Alpha Kappa Alphas in Suffolk, Virginia, their chapter every summer used to hold reading clinics. So when I saw them yesterday and we had a brief conversation and we still hugged, I think the information I gave them was way more valuable than me saying Happy Founders Day. And then speaking of Founders Day, today is Zetas. The Zetas have their Founders Day, but I'll pass, this is the picture that I represent if you want to pass it around real quick. So y'all will notice when I give lectures, I also will implement information because I think it's important because my roots are really strong in Virginia, just like you all are in this class. So I posted this. Now, getting into the syllabus. Let's pull that up. See if you have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and click this link.
Are you giving side eye as anything?
I think I am. I think I am.
This is Sarah we're talking about, probably.
So I'm downloading this after I've uploaded it. And this is the one that you all voted on as a class. Did you pass them the other 2 that came in their agreements? Thank you. So now, anytime that you do not have your paper copy, you should go here and pull this up. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for the computer to think, does anyone have any questions in regards to the syllabus? James? Questions? Sure. And I don't mind, again, if you need to ask questions, but it's able to be pulled up. We go through all of that. Has everybody read through the syllabus in full?
I cannot even, I need to pass the photo out.
Oh, Shanita, why not?
I read through half of it.
Half of it. Which part did you at least? Well, you at least got to know what's
Yeah, I
going
read
on
all
here.
those,
Okay, that's everything's important. I mean, it enunciates, but I'm glad that at least you got to understand what's going on here. Then, okay, then, we're good to go. All right, since we don't have any questions on that, does anyone have? I'm going to X out of this. I'm going to open up a new tab. Shanita, come and tell me or show me how to find. Or you can go this way. How we find Purdue Owl. Oh, and by the way, this is my grandmother's dress that I have on too. And I actually wore this whole same ensemble when we put my mother's ashes into her urn. Well, I don't want to say to rest, but her place.
Yeah.
After we had her dress. So I wore the same thing, but this is my grandmother's dress as well. So. So I guess I'm channeling.
Yeah, definitely. The picture of you when the, looks like the pastor is like.
That's Dr. Thomas Freeman. I meant to tell you all that when you're looking.
I see.
That's the
like,
Reverend Dr. Thomas Freeman. I meant, sorry.
It looks like when he's, there's a picture and he's like, you're looking up at him, but it's like he's touching your
That is him. Those are my
arm.
godparents. They have read, that's John Gray. That was my papa's brother. This is Carlotta Freeman. Dr. Carlotta Freeman is his daughter. This is the picture that I showed my class last night. But yes, that's Dr. Thomas Freeman.
Yep.
Okay, so Shanita has found MLA for us. Did you have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Go down for me where you're standing there. Find me the sample paper. Has everybody gone through it as for homework? If not, continue to look at it and go through it. It's not a one-time thing. And you can use it for other classes when you're writing your papers. Oh, look at you. Okay, so James, you come up then and find me the tab for works cited when it comes to books. You can pass that to Shanika. To Dr. Thomas Raymond is.
You said works cited?
Yes, sir. Find me the tab that shows us. And then did I say books or works cited? I'll take it, yes, because that's fine. Go down and find me then a book with one author. Nope, you're still on the same page. Go to the same page. Uh-huh. You're right. Because it's gonna, you go then to more than one. You go, so you're fine. You're at the very top. That was what I needed. Okay, so then, Ebony, find me, if I wanted to cite a electronic source, what tab would I go to?
After the one, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then say I'm looking for a website. It could be a page or it could be the whole site. You're still on the same page, but now keep scrolling. I think I'm on the right. Uh-huh.
Here.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Here.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So that's what I want you all to do at home. Just get a chance to go through it the same way. Take your time when you go through it. Because it's a lot of information, but we're still going to work it in the class for us to show you how to go through it. Because today we're going to show you about citing sources. I'm still going to go a little bit off what the written plan is in back. But then we're going to show you how to integrate long and short quotes. But it's also up here so you can see a physical example. But when you start to write, you can kind of look and say, okay, maybe this is how it's supposed to be done.
Okay.
Okay? Now, before I get into something else, I would like to hear about your current events and your summaries. For your current events, did you all print off what you used as your source? Would you have the link for your source? Shanita, did you do it?
I did one, but I used, I didn't write the source down, but it's still in my phone.
Long as you know, because the thing is, the reason why I'm trying to get you now, one, held accountable for your sources, but two, what if you want to use that current event for your research or a research paper or another paper, you already then have what you printed out. So that's the reason why I was asking you to print it, but if you know the link and you can find it, that is good, but say what if the link is down? So that's why I always encourage you to print it. Okay, so Shanita says she doesn't have hers. So let's go with Miss Ebony. Tell us about your current event. You don't have to read your summary. Just make sure you answer the who, what, when, how, and why. Okay. And I want you to stand up because I want us to get used to standing and projecting our voice.
Okay.
This might help for our debate as well. And I'll take a seat to the side.
So you want me to come over?
You can stand right there in front of all of us. Make sure Sydney can see you as well.
All right, so my current event is about,
So make sure you talk to your classmates.
sorry. My current event is about the Groveland Four. Are you guys familiar with that? The Groveland Four. It's, well,
That's why you're gonna summarize it. Tell us.
January.
Here, I'll sit this way so you can.
January 11th, the governor of Florida, basically gave them clemency of the crime that they committed. 4 of them were, and it was like, this is going back 70 years ago, okay? So 70 years ago, 4 black men were accused of raping a white woman and assaulting her husband. And it was in Lake County, Florida, I believe. So the assault took place in Lake County, Florida. So they were arrested. One was taken away, but he was ended up being shot and killed by the sheriff who arrested them. And so all these years they were in prison. So one died, 2 were in prison, the other one was sentenced to life in prison. So Thurgood Marshall brought up a trial for them, I think it was in 49. He brought it to the Supreme Court, and he was fighting for an appeal for them to be pardoned because they couldn't really prove that they did it. They were coerced to confess to it. One of them refused to confess. He was the one that they ended up killing him. So during the trial, they were being transported to the Supreme Court. Well, the sheriff and the deputy that were transporting them pulled over and ended up shooting the other one, killed him, but the other one survived. So, I think in 51 is when that happened. Samuel Shepard was the guy who was killed by the sheriff in 51. And then Walter Irvin was a survivor. He was the one that was being transported with him. So they never got pardoned. They never got, Thurgood Marshall, even though he went for the appeal, the Supreme Court denied it. So Irvin, he ended up not getting it. But I think later in life he passed away. And then recently in 2016, the Groveland County apologized to the family and, you know, basically was like, you know, they exonerated him. And then it happened to be on my birthday, actually, in April 18th of 2017.
You're Aries?
Yes.
I'm 14.
Oh, yes, you are! And then in 2019, January 11th, the Board of Executive Clemency voted to pardon them. So they were all pardoned, but it's just unfortunate that they were not allowed to even see it. Or they call it posthumous. Yeah, posthumous clemency. And it's like after death or whatever. But I don't know why I chose that event. It's just been like weighing heavy on me because there's been so many things in the news about people being taken and women who've been assaulted. The Cyntoia Jackson, I think is her name. She was like taken as a sex slave, and and she received clemency. And then
You're talking about the one that recently just got out, and she's working on her college degree, or she's working on her BA. I know you're talking about because LeBron, I think it was LeBron James. A lot of people in the industry or celebrities, if we would like to call them, they're still human. But yes, they were rallying for her. I think even John Legend said something, maybe if I'm not mistaken, but they were rallying for her. Yes.
And I just think that it's important to find, and then, you know, knowing all the Dr. Martin King Hollins were
You
celebrating
implemented it very well. Yes, ma'am.
on Monday, and I just feel like it's like a part of our history, and it's sad that so many of our ancestors were accused of wrongful things that they didn't do and wouldn't even think to do, and 70 years later you decide to give them clemency. They're not even here on earth to even receive it. Like, their family
But
had
their ancestors are, or their generations after them have been, or their current.
But imagine the whole process of going through all of that, and then 70 years later you get some kind of validation that your family member was not this evil, cruel person. But what do you really get out of it? Like, what has it done? It just says something about our system. You know what I mean? It just.
You did great work, good work. You might want to hold on to that when we do, because at the end, you know, this semester we're doing, or close to the end, we're doing the research project. If you're passionate about it and would like to conduct a research project in regards to that, you're more than welcome. It could be based on the law
Right.
that exonerated them. It could be based on you gave great history.
Right.
It could be based on information about those 4 men, because listening to you, I learned something. That's why I said I can also learn from you all.
Right.
But it also jogged my memory, because I was like, it sounds familiar, but I don't know.
It's such a sad
So.
story.
Good job.
Thank
It
you.
reiterates the point also, this happened 70 years ago,
Mhm.
and issues like this are still continuing to happen.
Right.
But these people are not receiving clemency or exoneration.
Right.
Good job. Good work. So like I said, hold on to that. You might need it. You might still want to print your source so you'll have it.
Yes, I will do that.
Don't forget your next current event that will be coming up, whatever
Okay.
you choose again for next class. Go ahead, Mr. James. You don't have yours, or do you have anything? Did you do one on a VA legend? Did you summarize that or anything?
I did the 5 facts of VA.
Okay, so let me look at it. We'll get onto that then. All right, don't forget, you all, the current events are very crucial. That's incorporating your writing and your reading.
Okay.
So please make sure you do your current event and put it in your current event binder. It's very important, because that's how you're getting your reading, and that's also how you're getting your writing. Okay?
I
So,
know, it's like enticement to buy the newspaper. Don't like it.
It's all online for free.
Yeah.
It's all online, yeah, you don't pay
she
for
took it
it.
old school, but you can still, it's always good to have a hard copy. You're right, because if not, you gotta print it. Okay. So then I'm going to get into, I'm gonna let you choose to tell me, but you cannot repeat what someone else has told me. So we will start with then James. I only want you to tell me, because this is also all of our knowledge, but I want you to tell me, which person do you choose to speak about? You got all those facts, so you want to hold on to those are important. But tell me which one you want to speak about. You have 2 other classmates, so we need to make sure they have time to.
Nat Turner.
Amen, my family. Okay, that'll be fine. So I want you to stand up as well. Present to us your 5 facts, and we'll follow it up.
Alright, the first fact is Nat Turner was born on October 2nd, 1800, and in Southampton County, Virginia, on the Virginia plantation of Benjamin Turner. Second fact is Turner believed in signs and hear divine voices, and he had a vision in 1825 of a bloody conflict between black and white spirits. And Turner's mother named Nancy, but nothing is known about his father. Nat Turner's slave owner Benjamin allowed him to instruct in reading and writing in religion. And the fourth fact is his mother and grandmother told Turner that he was intended for some great purpose. And Turner was deeply religious and spent much time of his reading the Bible and praying and fasting. And the fifth one is Turner took a solar eclipse that occurred in February 1831 as a signal that time to rise up and had come.
Good job. In regards to that, and it reminded me, I need to send an email to Mark Pearson, but also Wendy Porter. I'm going to enunciate it that way. Come to find out, when I end up trying to do more research about that being within my family, come to find out I have ties with Wendy. She went to Kimsville High School, didn't know, and we ended up meeting again at ODU. But regards to that, her family was the one who had the Bible. Her family is the one that turned the Bible into the museum up in D.C. Also, Dr. Thomas Freeman is on display. He's still living. He'll be 100 this year, God willing. But he's also at that museum as well, which I haven't gone. I need to see, and I talked to Cindy about that. But with the information you provided, you reminded me that I need to see if I could reach out to Mark, see if he's in town, and or Wendy to come by to talk to you all in regards to that. I've been to the family reunions on that side and to the church, and Mark can tell you more probably about the church. Wendy can tell you more about the Bible. When you mention about his dad as unknown, they thought it was Ben, but as I've been working on my family tree, come to find out old Bridget and his mother, old Bridget, which stems from his dad's side, is from Ghana. So some of our roots also side of Ghana. So on his mother's side, that is still where I'm trying to figure out, they still say what, the West Nile, it's something like that, but it's still a little hazy on my connection, because I'm trying to figure out if I'm still a direct descendant, or is it because he had brothers and sisters, which he did, and that's more coming up, if I'm related by one of them. But my mother told me in 8 situation, so I'm 8 years old knowing about that. So, you know, some truth has to be behind it somewhere. But good job, I appreciate that. Hold on to that information. You may want to decide to write your research paper on him, it's up to you. But hold on to that, thank you. Hold on to all of your facts, because those are important, and you also are from Virginia, but it's all important all together.
That's what I was gonna pick.
Ah, so you're gonna pick somebody different. What 5 facts do you have, Shanita? On who? What you got next?
Not Nate Parker, but
Go ahead, rock with it. It's a connection, because the birth of a nation. And the great debaters, which I plan on hopefully that we can play for y'all to watch. Go ahead and stand up for us, present yourself, and present your 5 facts. Good job, I'm proud of you.
alright, so he was born November 18th, 1979. He has 6 children. He's from Norfolk, Virginia. He was an actor, and he attended NSU.
No, that's fine. I appreciate it. You've got good 5 facts, and you know why I said that too, because I forgot he is VA. So not just when I put him up when I said Norfolk State, I forgot that he is actually born here. So thank you. If you decide to write your research paper on him, that is good. Hold on again to all of your facts. 1, this is also for your self-knowledge, but 2, you can always spread that information to other people, your family. They might have forgotten. You might get sit down and talk to them, and they'll tell you, oh, I remember so and so. They might give you more information. So hold on to these facts, because a lot of these things that we're doing in our class, I would say, have not been addressed or need to be readdressed, or it's again enlightening us all VA history, and not just Black history, which we all have ties to. Even Sydney has ties to. I call her my cousin at times, but it's all VA history. So when I lay heavily or to the Black community or hip hop community, it's because for me myself, it had been lacking. Does that make sense? They gave us what they wanted us to know, but it's still a lot of history for all of us to know. And yes, my roots are also white. So people like, but most of me, yes, is African, Latina, but I also am British, Irish, and Scandinavian. But when people say, why is she laying so heavy on her African roots or her Latino roots, I feel I was denied that information in school. But I respect it all, and I respect everyone. Sydney knows that. And Sydney does it too. She's like, I'm learning new stuff too. They didn't even teach her the information. They gave her the same thing, what they wanted you to know. So what do you have?
I'll do Dr. Thomas Freeman.
Oh, shucks. Go ahead, stand up.
Okay.
My uncle and his daughter will be pleased, and the rest of the family will be pleased to hear this.
So he taught for 6 decades. He retired in 2013. He was born in Richmond, Virginia. He taught Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at Morehouse College in the 1940s. And at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture holds a display of a picture taken in the 1950s of the great debaters. So those are my 5 facts.
Awesome. I'm proud of you. Again, hold on to that. Either way, you have great content, so you may decide to figure out what you want to do. Thank you, ma'am.
Fun fact about Nate Parker, he's a Great Bridge kid.
Yes,
Is he?
he did. He graduated from there.
He graduated from Great Bridge, got a wrestling scholarship to Penn State.
My hands are freezing.
No, it's okay. I'm stuck here. Wardrobe malfunction.
Because I think he transferred to Princess Anne High School. He came down to Virginia Beach, lived with his uncle, transferred to Princess Anne, then he transferred to Great Bridge. Got
He
a
went to
wrestling
Churchland,
scholarship.
too.
Yeah, he went to Churchland between those two. Got a wrestling scholarship from Great Bridge, went to Penn State. Yeah, you showed me that one.
Yeah, I thought you seen it. I wasn't sure if it was one. Okay, I'm so pleased that you all, do you like doing that? Do you like learning about the VA legends?
Yes.
And then how they work? Awesome.
Because
Let's
there's so
keep that
many.
up. Okay, so Sharita, you
There's more than you
did,
think there was.
Yeah.
and you don't know because we really don't talk about it. So.
And I wonder why a lot of celebrities, when they leave this area, why they don't say, oh, you know, I was born in Norfolk, Virginia. Because some of them, they're all from Norfolk, Virginia, or Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Richmond, all
Portland.
over. And then when they go like on TV, you think they're like from Los Angeles somewhere.
Because a lot of
And they're not.
the
They're
stigma
like
comes
from Norfolk,
from
Virginia.
a lot of the stigma comes from like Los Angeles and New York, Brooklyn being the hot spots or the most
No, Norfolk,
the hot
Virginia.
spots that have the most media coverage,
Yeah.
and that's where it comes from. It's just media coverage.
We'll get into that. I'm glad that that's sparking up some interest. I like that. That's a good thing. What I want to do before I'm going to go a little what's not written for today, and then back to what's written. Narrative topic. What do you have, Ebony, for your topic?
For my,
What experience are you writing about yourself in
Yeah,
either first
myself.
person or third person? What did you
Personal.
choose? Personal.
Yeah.
When you say personal, what kind of event is it?
It's kind of like, it's a medical event.
Okay, medical, awesome. Topic, what do you have, James? Or are you still trying to figure it out?
Still trying to figure out.
Okay, so do you need help? And if you do, it's fine. We could do Sydney and I, like after class for a little bit, we can talk with you to
Yeah.
help you steer in that direction. And I'll be downstairs also if you want to come downstairs and we can talk about it too, if you have time. Okay, no problem. Just hold it in, think about it, marinate. What do you have, Shanita?
I'm gonna do about my high school experience.
Awesome. Okay, with that said, when we look at our, and I'll post it, just to remind us, I'll put it on Canvas, a little announcement. So that means the 28th it's due, right? That I'm asking just for a draft. For you all that might have trouble with like planning, if that is the case, you might not. But like I recommend to students, look at trying to write a paragraph a day. For instance, if you did one today, one on the 17th, one on the 18th, one on the 19th, one on the 20th, you're chilling. But then go back and read over it. But that's what I recommend. And I practice what I preach. I try to do it myself. If you need more than one day, maybe the 16th to the 17th, write one, let it marinate. The 18th through the 19th, write one, let it marinate. The 20th to the 21st, write one, again, let it marinate. And then the 22nd to the 23rd, write your fourth one, let it marinate. And then you have your fifth one, which is your conclusion paragraph to write, and the 24th to the 25th. Again, how many days are you like, whoosh? And that's what I'm saying, like pace yourself, break it down. I recommend not trying to write a paper in one day or whatever. Give yourself time. That's also when your best writing can occur. Now some people, it's like, I can't take a break and then resume and come back. But if you think about it, and you write that, maybe take a break, come back and write. You can still read the paragraph and figure out where do I leave off, but you also probably are taking notes while you're doing that as well. I don't know, what's your process, Sydney?
For narratives, I do like a flow chart, just to keep my events in order. Because what I was taught, like you're doing a narrative, so you have, it's basically like a stream of consciousness type of writing. So it's as the thoughts come to you, as you're remembering these events, you're gonna want to like keep down the details. So what I do is I take the bulk details, the big important parts of the event, and I do a flow chart. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. In between these key points, I'll write down, this happened because of this, and this is what made it important. So then I start into that, and then I format it into an essay. Do start filling in my paragraphs, and then I just go through and I read through and make sure everything fits.
Sweet. And that's to show you two different processes as well. Like I'll do an outline first, we'll show you how to do that. And then I'll think about it, and then I'll write my introduction, and I'll take a break. Next day I'll write my paragraph 2 and 3. Like that's how I like to piece it together. All right, so our topic really quick. What we're going to do again, because we're remembering King and his dream. When I say this, and it's going to be like 40 minutes, but we have time. But again, I think it's important that we have this content. One, because we're not going to be here on Monday. 2, like we said, there's a lot of things that we hear about, but either we haven't seen, but thank God to YouTube, we're able to get some content. with that said, and now that I shared my little family photo album, and then Ebony so gracious added information that we needed to know about Dr. Thomas Freedom, which is Reverend Dr. Thomas Freedom. With that said, I want to play for you the last speech, but before I do that, I'm going to play Precious Lord, and I'm going to tell you why. But the last speech that King conducted, so you want to probably write that into your arts notebook. This speech, remember I told you, this was the last speech he gave and then he was assassinated. Remember I told you the very next day he was going to come and eat dinner with my family in Waverly, Virginia. So I think maybe that's why I'm stumbling across this link. But first I want to play Precious Lord. Now, when I go to YouTube, I see all of these lovely ladies and maybe gentlemen that have sung this song, but I want to play to you one that came from Selma that was remixed by Lettucey. The reason why I want to do that, one, Lettucey is of today, more modern, and also Selma connects us to Dr. Martin Luther King. But with that being said, I wanted you to know about Mahalia Jackson, the originator, I believe, of this song. She and her songs, or her music, were very prevalent and very strong, or had very strong representation during the civil rights movement, just to get people through those times. And it didn't matter if you were black, you could have been white, Latino, whatever the case is, because civil rights, you know, this is when all nationalities would join hands and walk together. So with that being said, we're going to play the one from Selma.
Take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I
You were feeling it?
Oh, that was her.
Oh, was it? I thought it was Shania. That was you, Ebony. You were feeling
Yeah.
it? Okay.
That's make you want to say amen after that. Like,
Okay, let me, get
I never
my,
heard her sing that before.
and I recommend hearing, Mahalia Jackson.
Oh, I've heard
Mahalia
that
Jackson.
one.
Okay, you haven't heard this one?
Yeah, I didn't know Lettucey redid that. Oh my gosh, she has such a beautiful voice.
Okay, so like I said, this is 40 minutes. That'll tie us into the top of the next hour. That'll still give us content for Sydney to show us what she needs to show us, and I still might let her take over and show us in text, because she's capable of citation, or the short and long quotes that I said, what we have. We'll look at the plan again.
So the first one that we put in the arts book was the We Shall Overcome, right?
From the first day, you probably would have had what I wrote on the board, anything that we wrote on the board, if you needed that. You would have had, maybe you would have had, We Shall Overcome, that would be one as well.
And then the stand one went into the Virginia Legends.
You could have put it there.
We could put it in.
You could put it there because it's with Trey. It's with Trey's song, so yes, you could put it with that. If not, you still could put it in the arts because it's music. But if you wanted to put it under him because that ties to Virginia, and then that ties to Birth of a Nation, it ties to Nate Parker, then yes, it's definitely relevant there.
You can
And-
put it in both, just so you have the notes.
Yep, that's up to you. And the song, yes, We Shall Overcome would be in your arts, and then the speech that you saw of King the very first day would go in your arts, because that is speech. So we're gonna look at another speech of his. This is the very last one that he gave before his assassination. And it's been, I have been to the mountaintop. And again, I don't know if he did this extemporaneously. Again, it might have been some written, it might have been some, like, you know, like I told you yesterday, extemporaneous off the top of the dome. I'm not sure, but he was, of course, his spirit was very strong. You notice him talk about my spirit as well. So go ahead and play it. Do you want me to keep it paused right now because you want to write this information, or are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay, so you have April 3rd, 1968.
Thank you very kindly, my friends. As I listen to Ralph Abernathy
Is it just loud enough?
and his eloquent and generous introduction, and then thought about myself, I wondered who he was talking about. It's always good to have your closest friend and associate to say something good about you. And Ralph Abernathy is the best friend that I have in the world. I'm delighted to see each of you here tonight in spite of a storm warning. You reveal that you are determined to go on anyhow. Something is happening in Memphis, something is happening in our world. And you know, if I was standing at the beginning of time with the possibility of taking a kind of general and panoramic view of the whole of human history up to now, and the Almighty said to me, Martin Luther King, which age would you like to live in? I would take my mental flight by Egypt. And I would watch God's children in their magnificent trek from the dark dungeons of Egypt through, or rather across the Red Sea, through the wilderness on toward the Promised Land. And in spite of its magnificence, I wouldn't stop there. I would move on by Greece and take my mind to Mount Olympus. And I would see Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Euripides, and Aristophanes assembled around the Parthenon. And I would watch them around the Parthenon as they discussed the great and eternal issues of reality, but I wouldn't stop there. I would go on even to the great heyday of the Roman Empire. And I would see developments around there through various emperors and leaders, but I wouldn't stop there. I would even come up to the day of the Renaissance and get a quick picture of all that the Renaissance did for the cultural and aesthetic life of man, but I wouldn't stop there. I would even go by the way that the man for whom I'm named had his habitat. And I would watch Martin Luther as he tacks his 95 Theses on the door at the Church of Wittenberg, but I wouldn't stop there. I would come on up even to 1863 and watch a vacillating president by the name of Abraham Lincoln finally come to the conclusion that he had to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, but I wouldn't stop there. I would even come up to the early 30s and see a man grappling with the problems of the bankruptcy of his nation, and come with an eloquent cry that we have nothing to fear but fear itself, but I wouldn't stop there. Strangely enough, I would turn to the Almighty and say, if you allow me to live just a few years in the second half of the 20th century, I will be happy. Now, that's a strange statement to make because the world is all messed up. The nation is sick. Trouble is in the land, confusion all around. That's a strange statement. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. And I see God working in this period of the 20th century in a way that men in some strange way are responding. Something is happening in our world. The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same: we want to be free. And another reason that I'm happy to live in this period is that we have been forced to a point where we're going to have to grapple with the problems that men have been trying to grapple with through history, but the demands didn't force them to do it. Survival demands that we grapple with them. Men for years now have been talking about war and peace. But now no longer can they just talk about it. It is no longer a choice between violence and non-violence in this world. It's non-violence or non-existence. That is where we are today. And also in the human rights revolution, if something isn't done and done in a hurry to bring the colored peoples of the world out of their long years of poverty, their long years of hurt and neglect, the whole world is doomed. Now, I'm just happy that God has allowed me to live in this period to see what is unfolding. And I'm happy that He's allowed me to be in Memphis. I can remember when Negroes were just going around, as Ralph has said, so often scratching where they didn't itch and laughing when they were not tickled. But that day is all over. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world. And that's all this whole thing is about. We aren't engaged in any negative protest and in any negative arguments with anybody. We are saying that we are determined to be men. We are determined to be people. We are saying that we are God's children. And if we are God's children, we don't have to live like we are forced to live. Now, what does all of this mean in this great period of history? It means that we've got to stay together. We've got to stay together and maintain unity. You know, whenever Pharaoh wanted to prolong the period of slavery in Egypt, he had a favorite formula for doing it. What was that? He kept the slaves fighting among themselves. But whenever the slaves get together, something happens in Pharaoh's court, and he cannot hold the slaves in slavery. When the slaves get together, that's the beginning of getting out of slavery. Now let us maintain unity. Secondly, let us keep the issues where they are. The issue is injustice. The issue is the refusal of Memphis to be fair and honest in its dealings with its public servants who happen to be sanitation workers. Now we've got to keep attention on that. That's always the problem with a little violence. You know what happened the other day, and the press dealt only with the window breaker. I read the article. They very seldom got around to mentioning the fact that 1,300 sanitation workers are on strike, and that Memphis is not being fair to them, and that Mayor Loeb is in dire need of a doctor. They didn't get around to that. again in order to put the issue where it is supposed to be. Force everybody to see that there are 1,300 of God's children here suffering. Sometimes going hungry, going through dark and dreary nights, wondering how this thing is going to come out. That's the issue. We've got to say to the nation, we know how it's coming out. But when people get caught up with that which is right and they are willing to sacrifice for it, there is no stopping point short of victory. We aren't going to let any may stop us. We are masters in our nonviolent movement in disarming police forces. They don't know what to do. I've seen them so often. I remember in Birmingham, Alabama, we were in that majestic struggle there. We would move out of the 16th Street Baptist Church day after day. By the hundreds we would move out, and Bull Connor would tell them to send the dogs for. And they did come. But we just went before the dogs singing, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Bull Connor next would say, turn the fire hoses on. As I said to you the other night, Bull Connor didn't know history. He knew a kind of physics that somehow didn't relate to the trans physics that we knew about. And that was the fact that there was a certain kind of fire that no water could put out. And we went before the fire hoses. We had known water. If we were Baptist or some other denomination, we had been immersed. If we were Methodist and some other, we had been sprinkled, but we knew water. That couldn't stop us. And we just went on before the dogs, and we would look at them, and we'd go on before the water hoses, and we would look at it. And we just go on singing over my head, I see freedom in there. Then we would be thrown into paddy wagons, and sometimes we were stacked in there like sardines in a can. They would throw us in, and old Bull would say, take them off. And they did, and we would just go on in the paddy wagon singing, we shall overcome. And every now and then we'd get in jail, and we'd see the jailers looking through the windows, being moved by our prayer. And being moved by our words and our song. There was a power there which Bull Connor couldn't adjust to. And so we ended up transforming Bull into a steel, and we won our struggle in Birmingham. But we've got to go on in Memphis just like that. I call upon you to be with us when we go out Monday. Now about injunction. We have an injunction, and we are going into court tomorrow morning to fight this illegal, unconstitutional injunction. All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for rights. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. We are going on. We need all of you. You know what's beautiful to me? Is to see all of these ministers of the gospel. It's a marvelous picture. Who is it that is supposed to articulate the longings and aspirations of the people more than the preacher? Somehow the preacher must have a kind of fire shut up in his bones. And whenever injustice is around, he must tell it. Somehow the preacher must be an Amos. Said when God speaks, who can but prophesy? Again with Amos, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Somehow the preacher must say with Jesus, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me. And he's anointed me to deal with the problems of the poor. And I want to commend the preachers under the leadership of these noble men, James Lawson, one who has been in this struggle for many years. He's been to jail for struggling. He's been kicked out of Vanderbilt University for this struggling, but he's still going on fighting for the rights of his people. Reverend Ralph Jackson, Billy Kyle, I could just go right on down the list. As time would not permit, but I want to thank all of them. And I want you to thank them. Because so often preachers aren't concerned about anything but themselves. And I'm always happy to see a relevant ministry. It's all right to talk about long white robes over yonder and all of its symbolism. But ultimately, people want some suits and dresses and shoes to wear down here. It's all right to talk about streets flowing with milk and honey. But God has commanded us to be concerned about the slums down here and his children who can't eat 3 square meals a day. It's all right to talk about the New Jerusalem, but one day, God's preacher must talk about the new New York, the new Atlanta, the new Philadelphia, the new Los Angeles, the new Memphis, Tennessee. This is what we have to do. Now, the other thing we'll have to do is this. Always anchor our external direct action with the power of economic withdrawal. Now, we are poor people. Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Never stop to forget that collectively, that means all of us together, collectively we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. Did you ever think about that? After you leave the United States, Soviet Russia, Great Britain, West Germany, France, I can name others, the American Negro collectively is richer than most nations of the world. We have an annual income of more than $30 billion a year, which is more than all of the exports of the United States and more than the national budget of Canada. Did you know that? That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We don't have to argue with anybody. We don't have to curse and go around acting bad with our words. We don't need any bricks and bottles. We don't need any Molotov cocktails. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country and say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. And we come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. So as a result of this, we're asking you tonight to go out and tell your neighbors not to buy Coca-Cola in Memphis. Go by and tell them not to buy sealed test milk. Tell them not to buy what is all the bread, Wonder Bread. What is all the bread come to Bessie? Tell them not to buy Hard's bread. As Jesse Jackson has said, up to now, only the garbage men have been feeling pain. Now we must kind of redistribute the pain. We are choosing these companies because they have been fair in their hiring policies. And we are choosing them because they can begin the process of saying they are going to support the needs and the rights of these men who are on strike. And then they can move on downtown and tell Mayor Loeb to do what is right. And not only that, we've got to strengthen black institutions. I call upon you to take your money out of the banks downtown and deposit your money in Tri-State Bank. We want a bank-in movement in Memphis. Go by the Savings and Loan Association. I'm not asking you something that we don't do ourselves in SPLC. Judge Hooks and others will tell you that we have an account here in the Savings and Loan Association from the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. We are telling you to follow what we are doing. Put your money there. You have 6 or 7 black insurance companies here in the city of Memphis. Take out your insurance there. We want to have an insurance in. Now these are some practical things that we can do we began the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. I ask you to follow through here. Now let me say as I move to my conclusion, that we've got to give ourselves to this struggle until the end. Nothing would be more tragic than to stop at this point in Memphis. We got to see it through. When we have our march, you need to be there. If it means leaving work, if it means leaving school, be there. Be concerned about your brother. You may not be on strike, but either we go up together or we go down together. Let us develop a kind of dangerous unselfishness. One day a man came to Jesus. He wanted to raise some questions about some vital matters of life. At points he wanted to trick Jesus and show him that he knew a little more than Jesus knew and throw him off base. Now that question could have easily ended up in a philosophical and theological debate. But Jesus immediately pulled that question from midair and placed it on a dangerous curve between Jerusalem and Jericho. And he talked about a certain man who fell among thieves. You remember that a Levite, the priest passed by on the other side, they didn't stop to help him. Finally, a man of another race came by. He got down from his beast, decided not to be compassionate by proxy, but he got down with him, administered first aid, and helped the man in need. Jesus ended up saying this was the good man, this was the great man, because he had the capacity to project the eye into the bow and to be concerned about his brother. Now, you know, we use our imagination a great deal to try to determine why the priest and the Levite didn't stop. The times we say they were busy going to a church meeting, an ecclesiastical gathering, and they had to get on down to Jerusalem so they wouldn't be late for their meeting. At other times, we would speculate that there was a religious law that one who was engaged in religious ceremonial was not to touch a human body 24 hours before the ceremony. And every now and then we begin to wonder whether maybe they were not going down to Jerusalem, down to Jericho rather, to organize a Jericho Road Improvement Association. That's a possibility. Maybe they felt that it was better to deal with the problem from the causal root rather than to get bogged down with an individual effect. But I'm going to tell you what my imagination tells me. It's possible that those men were afraid. You see, the Jericho Road is a dangerous road. I remember when Mrs. King and I were first in Jerusalem. We rented a car and drove from Jerusalem down to Jericho. And as soon as we got on that road, I said to my wife, I can see why Jesus used this as the setting for his parable. It's a winding, meandering road. It's really conducive for ambushing. You start out in Jerusalem, which is about 1,200 miles, or rather 1,200 feet above sea level. And by the time you get down to Jericho, 15 or 20 minutes later, you're about 2,200 feet below sea level. That's a dangerous road. In the days of Jesus, it came to be known as the bloody path. You know, it's possible that the priest and the Levite looked over that man on the ground and wondered if the robbers were still around. Or it's possible that they felt that the man on the ground was merely faking. And he was acting like he had been robbed and hurt in order to seize them over there, lure them there for quick and easy siege. And so the first question that the priest asked, the first question that the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But then the Good Samaritan came by, and he reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? That's the question before you tonight. Not if I stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to my job? Not if I stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to all of the hours that I usually spend in my office every day and every week as a pastor? The question is not if I stop to help this man in need, what will happen to me? The question is, if I do not stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to them? That's the question. Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination. And let us move on. In these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be, we have an opportunity to make America a better nation. I want to thank God once more for allowing me to be here with you. You know, several years ago I was in New York City autographing the first book that I had written. While sitting there autographing books, a demented black woman came up. The only question I heard from her was, "Are you Martin Luther King?" And I was looking down writing, and I said, "Yes." The next minute I felt something beating on my chest. Before I knew it, I had been stabbed by this demented woman. I was rushed to Holland Hospital. It was a dark Saturday afternoon. That blade had gone through, and the x-rays revealed that the tip of the blade was on the edge of my aorta, the main artery. And once that's punctured, you're drowned in your own blood. That's the end of it. It came out in the New York Times the next morning that if I had merely sneezed, I would have died. Well, about 4 days later, they allowed me, after the operation, after my chest had been opened and the blade had been taken out, to move around in the wheelchair in the hospital. They allowed me to read some of the mail that came in, and from all over the states and the world, kind letters came in. I read a few, but one of them I will never forget. I had received one from the president and the vice president. I've forgotten what those telegrams said. I received a visit and a letter from the governor of New York, but I've forgotten what that letter said. But there was another letter that came from a little girl, a young girl, who was a student at the White Plains High School. And I looked at that letter, and I'll never forget it. It said simply, "Dear Dr. King, I am a ninth grade student at the White Plains High School. She said, while it should not matter, I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your misfortune and of your suffering. And I read that if you had sneezed, you would have died. I'm simply writing you to say that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze. And I want to say tonight, that I too am happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960 when students all over the South started sitting in at lunch counters. And I knew that as they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best in the American dream, and taking the whole nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1961 when we decided to take a ride for freedom and ended segregation in interstate travel. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1962 when Negroes in Albany, Georgia decided to straighten their backs up. And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they are going somewhere, because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been here in 1963. Black people of Birmingham, Alabama, aroused the conscience of this nation and brought into being the Civil Rights Bill. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have had a chance later that year in August to try to tell America about a dream that I had had. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been down in Selma, Alabama to see the great movement there. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been in Memphis to see a community rally around those brothers and sisters who are suffering. I'm so happy that I didn't sneeze. And they were telling me, now it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I left Atlanta this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system, "We're sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane, and to be sure that all of the bags were checked, and to be sure that nothing would be wrong on the plane, we had to check out everything carefully, and we've had the plane protected and guarded all night." And then I got into Memphis, and some began to say the threats, talk about the threats that were out. What would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers? Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing anything. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Okay, so we only have a few minutes left, but what I would like to do, we're gonna hold, the.
Database.
Yes, we're gonna hold it, we're gonna start next class with that, then we'll go into like we did the homework, because I'd really like to hear about your current events and the VA Legends, and I'm about to assign you all this time VA Legends. And then I'd like for us to go further, so, because again, I wanted to implement this, because I think that was in hearing his last speech. How many have you heard this last speech before?
I did, but not in depth like this. Like, you know, when you hear it in junior high or middle school, don't really pay attention. You're just like listening to it because it's the holiday.
With this being said, do you think America has changed any?
No.
Do you think we have regressed?
I think
Do you think we've taken
stayed
steps
same.
back to go forward?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Do you think this speech and listening to the ones that you've heard in the songs, have they been, I guess, valuable to the level of your information, your skill set, your tools? Okay, and you asked me, and I said 63. It's April 3rd, 1968. I remember I was debating. I said 63,
Yes.
68. Yes. All right. So we'll hold that information. What I would like to do, though, I have 12:27 on this. I told Sydney, for your debate, I was going to have you drop the names and whatever, because we're piecing it together, because around the time we stated your argument paper, that's when the debate is going to be done. That day, I want you to dress your Sunday's best, if you want to call it, your business casual for the debate, black and white if you can. Hopefully we can do homage to Dr. Thomas Freeman in regards to that debate. I had assigned roles then, because it's placed in my spirit then to do so. Ebony, your team captain, you're going to be with James. That means when we decide to do this debate, I need everybody present, okay? If it ends up being a conflict beforehand, please let me know, because your role is important. James, I wanted you on the debate team because I want to hear your voice. Ebony, I have you as a leader. I think you know why. Shanita, at the time, I had you as moderator because I want to make sure you stay focused and pay attention. But at the same time, I think Quan is no longer in our class. So with that said, I'm going to move you to a team leader for the next team. With that being said, you're going to be on the team with Heather, okay? Right now, I'm just assigning roles, which means, Sydney, you're going to be moderator. That's where Sydney comes into play. And then I'm going to see if I can get 3 people to come judge the class, because I think definitely it's based on your projection, which is your voice, how you conduct yourself, the flow of it. Then comes your content of your information, how you relay that. Then next is your overall performance, I believe. If not, I'm just going to leave it to those categories. VA Legends, I'm assigning you. Ebony, you get Dr. Carolyn Williams. She also was one of the women who wrote, Ms. Brown wrote my recommendation for grad school, but Dr. Carolyn Williams was another one, and I appreciate her for that. With that being said, Shanita, get her son, Pharrell Williams. James, that means I want to keep it with Neptunes, so that means who do you get? Do you know? You
Harvey Lee, I think.
Neptunes. I've already said Pharrell Williams. Who else was the other part of Neptunes?
Norm.
Chad Hugo.
Chad Hugo.
And I believe, if I think I'm correct, Chad went to Kimballsville, which is the high school I also attended. So yes, those are your VA Legends this round.
Oh.
So if I don't end up talking about some, I'll try to incorporate some, but if you want to come to class also with ideas, please do, and we can go from there as well. Anything else? Don't forget, so next class, which is Wednesday, enjoy your MLK Day. Don't forget about your dream. Next class, then we'll go ahead and we'll hold the database. So Sydney's going to do database, and she's going to show you about Google Scholar. I use Google as well. I'm going to let Sydney also tell you about intake citations and the works cited. Don't forget for your homework, You all now have your titles to write. You still have 10 minutes, 9 minutes, to write your essay. I would start, which I'm looking at. If I were you, remember the plan I recommended? I'll try to write it online. Would you want me to put it online so you make the writing schedule? Okay. Try to implement that so that'll help you with your writing so you're not overwhelmed. Don't forget your current event. So definitely, do you have time after class to come downstairs or no? If not, I'm there tomorrow as well. Because I want to show you about current event if you're, but you kind of got to start because when you found information about Nat Turner, same thing basically. You would have taken the article you found, summarized that, 5 complete sentences.
Okay.
So you can, if you want, you can redo that, do that, but then I need another one. So Shanita, don't forget your current event. If you want to do it on Pharrell, you see what I'm saying? I'm trying to get you to kill 2 birds with 1 stone if that's the same. Same thing, same thing, you're gonna present on your VA Legend, but if you were like, for my current event, look, I'm rocking with Pharrell because he's also building, he now changed it to the Atlantic Park, or he's working to do that in Virginia Beach. I think they're trying to give him some resistance, but he's working on that. If you wanna come with that, there you go. So that's what I'm saying, you can also make it overlap, all right? Any questions that you have or any other concerns? Okay, are you okay with how class is going so far? Anything that you all would like to implement? Anything else? Let me know.
The introduction,
What introduction?
the narrative introduction.
The narrative? You need clarity on that?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens when you write your introduction for your paper? We don't want to show you yet how to do outline because I want to see what your skill set is right now. But your introduction, basically, when you write your first paragraph, we're going to say you're going to give me, right now, since it's your rough draft, I'll go with 5 complete sentences, okay? But let's try to work soon to aim for 7. Usually it's 7. You might get 10 on a good day, but usually 7. So you're to write your introduction. What I do, I'm about to show you probably a mini whatever. All right, so I'm going to write my introduction paragraph. If I'm telling you at least 5 sentences for your rough draft, but do your best to try to do 7, but we'll say 5. Okay, this last sentence right here is your thesis. Your thesis summarizes your whole body of work of what you want to talk about in paragraph 3, 4, and 5. Remember when I pulled it up and showed you my linguistic autobiography? I kind of said from Ivana to Sakayada. That's me telling my reader what my whole paper is going to talk about. You have to have a main idea sentence, which I'm going to do like this, or a hook sentence, or it could be a quote, a statement, or whatever the case is. This right here is usually background historical information.
Oh, it's on here.
I wrote it, but it's fine. Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it's
So what I recommend, if you can't come down today, Thursday, look at our office hours. Or since Sydney is on Skeleton Crew, you can actually make an appointment with her as well, so she can be here also to assist you.
okay.
So I recommend if you want that help, please, and seek it, come and see us, but also email us if you're like, are you all gonna be here on, say, hers or Monday, Wednesday, right after, but she's technically not here next week because of Skeleton Crew, but she can be if you make an appointment with her. We could do that for you.
Okay.
But don't feel like you're alone, we're here, please, if you do have questions like you did, come see us, come see, yeah, like I'm downstairs today till 7 o'clock. Remember, I saw you yesterday when I was going to leave, so if you're here and you wanna come in, we will do that. Matter of fact, go ahead and wrap. We got a few minutes to wrap it up. Sydney, can you? Actually, no. I'm gonna let you lead them. Remember where the writing lab is?
It's downstairs.
You all follow Shanita downstairs. Go see Miss Holcomb. With you doing that, take your VA Legends book. Get 5 facts on Miss Holcomb and have her sign and date your composition book. So that means I know that you've attended.
Can I just write the 5 facts?
You need to see, because you're taking them, you're leading them down there, so you need to get your book, a sheet of paper, I don't care what you do, but you need to get 5 facts on Miss Holcomb.
But I have her
Have
first
her
semester.
sign- But what am I asking you to do for your classmates? So take them down.
back here?
You're fine, and you did that. Take them down there, please, see Miss Holcomb and let her know that I referred you all to come. And you all get 5 facts. You can get the same 5 facts. That's fine with me today. But have her sign it and date it, please. She might even give you a little stamp. And get the little tour while you're down there.
High school name?
You'll get it.
Oh,
That's my, make sure you go.
she's a VA legend.
She's about to be today. She's about to be today. She's about to go right up in your book. Yes.
Well, that's about to make her whole week.
And she gonna give you a tour while you're down there. Let her know I sent you. Like I said, you need your book, and she's gonna sign it and date it, but you gotta get those 5 facts. And I go down there shortly after, so I'll know if y'all are down there or if you've been down there. At any time. Don't forget, if you need me by text, make sure when you text me, you tell me your name. I know who you are. Right now I have only James locked in because he needed some assistance, which is fine. That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
All right, y'all have a good weekend and get safe. Enjoy your MLK day. All right, and I'll email those things that I need to email to you all, okay? Or put it on the announcement campus. Don't forget to check.
Today she is. Do I just hit the stop button?
Yeah.